Hey, good morning and welcome to the fourth hour of the great of the of the Craig Belfrage show. I'm all wrapped up. I was just watching this video. I've got to share it. Did you see the landing of that SpaceX capsule? It was pretty incredible. Um, it was in the news this morning and talked about it. But believe me, nothing this is the actual video of this thing coming in. Take a look at this. It's absolutely wild. Hear the crowd cheering just about there. Now watch this. Wow. And there it is. Captured the thing. And the crowd just going absolutely crazy. That is pretty incredible video. That's a great way to start the week with video like that. That's just absolutely sensational. All right, I've got a couple of other stories that I want to share with you this morning as well. Um, these are things. I also wanted to show you the video of JD Vance, and we talked about this morning on the air. This is about a minute and a half of video of JD Vance and ABC's Martha Raddatz yesterday. And I love the fact that JD Vance just absolutely stands his ground. Here we go.
To support Donald Trump making those claims that the Republican mayor says were grossly exaggerated and have hurt the city's identity and sense of safety. I understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
Well, Martha, you just said the mayor said they were exaggerated.
Grossly exaggerated.
There's got to be some. That means there's got to be some element of truth here. And of course, President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Here it comes.
Stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be.
Boom. He just doesn't put up with any nonsense, and it goes on. The rest of the clip you heard and comment during the show this morning, I shared that with you, but it's absolutely crazy. David, I love your comment. Yeah, right out of Buck Rogers. Yeah, that's why I wanted to show you the video of the landing. That was absolutely incredible. Wanted to make sure that you saw that this morning. Okay, a few other stories. There's not a lot of new stuff to share with you this morning. This is a poll from Axios. Oh, hold on. No, I get too many. I got to close these as I go along. This is what happens when you don't have a producer to help you. That I shared. This is a poll regarding Joe Biden. This is from Breitbart. Americans underestimate Joe Biden's migrant inflow. The number of migrants that are coming into the country, that people underestimate this. And take a look at this. They break it down here. Those who are liberal, very liberal, moderates, grossly underestimating how many migrants have entered. Even those who are very conservative are well below the reality. And they say the 10 million estimate of arrivals seems to ignore the federal government's policy of admitting more than 1 million migrants via various legally contested loopholes, side doors. So what they're saying, Breitbart says that Biden has welcomed at least 10 million legal, illegal, quasi-legal, and temporary migrants, and that huge inflow has helped to suppress wages and salaries, inflate housing costs, and reduce corporate investments in workplace productivity. So again, as you look at that, they're saying the very different answers from liberals and conservatives suggest that people tailor their poll answers to their political preferences, especially during a political campaign. Would that be you? Would you tailor your poll, answer to a poll based on the the fact that the election is ongoing, we're right in the heat of it? I don't think I would do that. At least I don't think that I would, because the election coming up, really, for me, being in the my face in the news all of the time, I would say I'm just more aware of what's going on, whether there's an election going on or not. So at least I don't feel that way. Oh, this is great comment that Kathy's got here regarding the JD Vance piece that I ran for you a few moments ago. Kathy is saying, I wish that JD would have asked her how many apartments would be acceptable. I know, isn't that crazy? It's just like mind blowing. I heard that. That's why we spent so much time on, his reaction this morning. The legacy media, I'm telling you, is just, it's just absolutely incredible. The untruths that they share, and just that's why I wanted you to see that reaction on JD Vance. It's like, how many of these apartments, being taken over, how many is acceptable to you? That is just absolutely staggering. Apparently, okay, if it's a very small number. And David is right. David is saying one is too many. Yeah, I know. Just absolutely incredible the way we, what we have seen here. The there is a story I wanted to share this from Free Spoke. This is one of the places that I go. One of the stories that's trending at Free Spoke is about this German soccer player under fire for refusing to sign a fan's gay pride shirt. And he said, I'm not signing that crap. And the pushback against him for that is that he's being too intolerant, being asked to put his signature on it. So what if a fan asks you to sign anything, then in order to be tolerant of the fan, where is that line? I'm not saying that I would have responded that way, but that's the way he responded. That's what he said. And so then there was the immediate kind of consultation as to because of the backlash, and there are a number of news stories surrounding this. I wanted to share one, just a portion of it. And then since this has happened, now he's saying he's sorry. So my spontaneous comments were absolutely not okay. I would like to apologize for that. The topic was clearly discussed internally, and I ask for your understanding that I do not wish to comment further. But he just said, and this was, I think, someone had asked him to sign, it was a rainbow shirt. And he said, I won't sign that gay crap. And there was immediate backlash. And so then you had the club staff and the team, responding, then condemning the remarks. We're committed to diversity and inclusion, they're saying. And during an internal meeting, statements were made that were not in line with their stance. The incident was dealt with internally, and which apparently it was because he apologized. Did he go too far in what he had said? Now, again, those are not comments that I would have made, but he was not comfortable signing it. And he said as much, I will not sign this stuff. Caught my attention. There is a final story. You and I have talked often about Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. Let's go to a story. This is new this morning at Fox News. Hunter Biden laptop falsely dismissed as Russian disinformation. I think it's a good reminder as to what happened to the New York Post as a result of Hunter Biden's laptop. And here, the deputy politics editor, Emma Jo Morris, and she had been, again, formerly with the New York Post, responding to Fox News about this. And while she was at the Post, she first reported on Hunter Biden's personal computer, which, as you'll remember, was dubbed the laptop from hell by staffers at the paper. The laptop was filled with videos, photos of drug use, lewd sexual acts, sensitive business communications. And this was right before the election. Remember now, Joe Biden was getting ready to face off against Donald Trump. And so it was only a few weeks before the election. And Fox News reporting here, in an unprecedented act of uniform censorship. Uniform censorship. The Post report was essentially buried by big tech and the mainstream press. Twitter claimed the story violated its terms of service on hacked materials, locked the New York Post out of its account for weeks, even blocked users from sharing the story link. MSNBC, CNN, CBS, NPR, Washington Post, the New York Times, a variety of other outlets and social media platforms either pushed the Russian disinformation narrative, or they ignored the story altogether. Morris now is commenting on this. She had the byline on this story. She says the multiple scandals that erupted following the story really changed the trajectory of tech and media in America. She said, because trust on Twitter just completely collapsed. Trust on Twitter was destroyed as a result of this, so much so that Elon Musk then stepped forward and very aggressively making it known that he wanted to buy Twitter, wanted to change what was going on at Twitter, because what Twitter was a censorship machine. And that's what we saw because of Hunter Biden's laptop. Twitter really, in reality, had become a censorship machine. And the whole Russian disinformation narrative then that came out as a result from this, these 51 former intelligence officials who then wind up endorsing Joe Biden, say the laptop had all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, which was all completely bunk. None of that was true. Absolutely untrue. The media, which had initially said that the Hunter Biden laptop was all Russian disinformation, even some of the legacy media outlets then gave up that story and admitted, no, it was actual, it was true, it was real. And I think the whole thing is a fascinating story. But Morris saying, who was the central focal point of the corruption here? It was corporations. It was big tech and corporate media, she says. She said there was never real accountability for the people who push the bogus narrative. No kidding. There never is. When is there ever any real accountability for people who push these bogus stories? It's just absolutely incredible. And then we get the Biden White House out there, misinformation. That's misinformation. It's just absolutely shocking. This is a great story. This one's from Fox News. New York Post Fox News and New York Post, owned by the same company. So there may also be even more on this at the New York Post. But she said the real sin in all of this was the collaboration between social media, legacy media, and the intelligence community. Nobody apologized. And I don't mean apologized to their readers and to their listeners. She's saying nobody apologized to their readers and their listeners. Not a single one. So this is just absolutely crazy. But that story, I think that is one of the most, again, we saw everything that happened at Twitter as a result. We spent a lot of time talking about it on the Greg Belfrage show at the time that it happened. The fact that the New York Post was stopped, their Twitter account shut down, would not allow that story to be shared. Thankfully, then that, you've got conservative radio outlets who just pounded that story, really pounded it into the ground, and for good reason, because of the danger of what we saw, the collusion between big tech, these corporations, and shutting down legitimate news and information, not allowing that to go forward. Well, they continue then to push, and this is true at many legacy media outlets now, continue to push all kinds of misinformation that's just, I'm having a harder and harder time each morning finding, news that isn't coming through the that filter, just suppress. I mentioned this morning on the air, one story that I'd found regarding Donald Trump and in rally over the weekend, one comment from Donald Trump, and you could not find another comment from Trump in the remainder of the piece. And that's what's taking place in so-called, news outlets. It's just absolutely shocking. And David said, of the Hunter Biden laptop, if it had been accepted as real, only 17% of the Biden voters would have changed their vote. I worry about the rest. Yeah, well, there's good reason to. There's good reason to worry about people today. It's pretty incredible. So I wanted to make sure that you saw that story this morning. That SpaceX landing, it was just absolutely incredible. I wanted to make sure to share that video with you because I watched that and it's like, that is just wild. What SpaceX is doing is just, I think, breathtaking. So thank you so much for letting me join you. I'm going to leave it there for today. If you haven't hit the like button already, please do so now, and I will dismiss you for the day, my friends. Thank you so much for letting me join you. Very, I appreciate it in my heart so much. So you take care. Have a great Monday. See you again tomorrow.